Hello, and welcome to episode 70 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all of the things Nintendo. My name is Kevin, and with me this week in Ultra Tech to talk about Nintendo Directs, Killer Instincts, and all of the things Nintendo is Sean.
Oh, that one didn't rhyme.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of time this week. And Harrison.
Directs, Killer Instincts, and games that we think do not stink. I don't know.
I'll take it.
I don't know. I tried to freestyle it, but it wasn't that good.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad either.
Fix it in post, Kevin.
So good week for Nintendo stuff. Decent amount of stuff in the notes here. I don't know if you guys want to just jump into wildly predicting the Nintendo Direct that we all know is due any day now, because we got to get ahead of that train. But yeah, what else do you guys want to talk about?
Off your notes, Star Wars Hunters.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that game.
I don't even know what that is.
Looks good.
It's I think it's sort of like Overwatch. It's like the team-based hero thing.
I don't pay attention to those things.
It's been on the coming soon on the eShop for like 3 years. You're like, oh, that dropped. Forever. And I went, oh, yeah, that was a thing. I mean, I looked at some reviews. It's not my type of thing. I mean, I guess it's fun. You know, it's free to play, but it's got all the microtransaction nonsense.
I wish that was the cover blurb. I guess it's fun.
Yeah.
More games need to say that.
It does look nice on Switch, so just to say, like, Sean, I'm with you. This is not a game that I play, but hey, like, if I had a Star Wars fan in my life who was like, hey, play this game with me, I'd check it out. It does look pretty decent on Switch hardware, and I've seen reviews saying that there's lots of options. Like you can do there's different options for the gyroscope. There's different button mapping options for when you play. So apparently, it's one of the best ways to play that game. So hey, shout out Nintendo.
They went all out on it, and I mean, I don't know. You guys care about gyro aiming? That's never really a thing that I get concerned with.
I think it really helps in like games like Breath of the Wild and stuff like that, but I don't really play these arena style games. I don't really know how I feel about it there.
I don't care, but I think it's an important technology to just hold on to, and it's nice that there are games that can actually take advantage of it. Like when I've played games like Quake and games like that, but again, like I can only play those games for like a few minutes before I start to feel weird.
It's more helpful in situations where you can stand still, you know, like in Breath of the Wild, you're trying to pop those balloons for the Korok seeds or something.
Okay.
I don't really know how I'd feel about it in an arena shooter where you're kind of like on edge the whole time, you know?
Yeah, I know a lot of reviewers are big on it. Whenever I watch Switch reviews, if it's a first person thing, they get upset if it doesn't have gyro, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not big on it, and then the other thing you had, the Biomutant. I'm in the same exact thinking as you. I want to wait till it's cheaper, but that was one that I waited because like, oh, it's getting a Switch port. I'm like, oh, well, I'll wait, and it looks really fun and weird, but I can't pay that much money for it, especially with the backlog. So.
Yeah, I remember it when it came out in 2021, and I remember checking it out and it looking like kind of a fun, like, okay, if I like Breath of the Wild, I might like this game. Just I know it's a totally different game, but in my mind, that's how I saw it. It looks day one on Switch, it looked horrible, and the patches are starting to make it look better. It's $40, so I'm thinking once it's half off, I'm gonna buy it because I think it's
that's a half off. That's worth it at that price.
Yeah, because I have no reason at this point to like to buy almost any full price game, unless it's like a AAA Nintendo game.
Yeah.
But uh, $20, I'll play it. I'll check it out. It looks kind of fun, kind of goofy.
Yeah, I
Did
like
any
the
of
idea
you?
of it.
I was just gonna say,
Go
did
ahead.
any of you see the news this week about the Google Nintendo leaks stuff?
What was that? No,
No.
I didn't.
So
What is that?
the reason I bring it up is we've often said on this podcast, you know, how we read all these like rumors that come from, you know, potential leakers.
Oh, I
And
saw this. Sorry.
yeah,
Go
I've
ahead.
seen people online say they, you know, that they hate when people leak stuff and things like that. So one thing I just wanted to say to our listeners is you know, one of the reasons we do report when there are these leaks is nobody ever knows which of these things is real or not. You know what I mean? A lot of them end up being completely false. So we try to report on just everything. And one thing we've said on this show is we're like, where do these people get their information? It's so weird. Like, how are they leaking these things ahead of time? And we found
Yep.
out at least one source of leaks we've gotten in the past this week is that apparently a Google employee basically, when Nintendo does their direct, for example, they will have all of the trailers for the different stuff in the direct ready to go on YouTube, like preset to launch at a certain date and time.
Okay.
Somebody at Google was able to view the pending videos for different accounts. Like they had whatever that security access is. And that person apparently used their access to private videos to leak information.
Okay.
And yeah, they said specifically between 2013 and 2018. So I'm guessing that's when that person worked there.
Yep.
And it's they the you know the internet detectives never fail. They've already linked which specific links are leaks are probably most likely a result of this person. Like for example, there was Yoshi's Woolly World, I think it was one of the Yoshi games. There was a screenshot from it leaked before the game was even announced, and that is most likely from this person. Things like that. Google claims that it was unintentional, that the person was leaking this information, but that's probably just them covering their own butts. So, didn't know if
Yeah,
any of you
that's
were.
probably a good plan on their part, but no, that's interesting. It makes sense. I kind of have always wondered, like when you do those live events, how they have to get everything together. So yeah,
Oh,
So,
Nintendo.
I wonder if this is going to
Yeah,
change Nintendo's practices for like how much ahead of time they upload their videos now, and maybe like only a few hours before launch now they'll put their
well,
pending videos up or something.
I'm sorry, but what were they doing before this? Nintendo. Once again, Nintendo and the internet just doesn't make sense. I mean, okay, guys. Here's the real question I want to ask you guys. Here's the real question, because these employees have access to much more than just this one YouTube account. Why did no one else get leaked? Why is no one else getting leaked? Because other companies probably don't do things like this. You know, like
Yeah, I could totally see Nintendo
other
putting these
companies,
because Nintendo's
these
notorious for having their stuff like ready like months and months before they even release it. So I could totally see them uploading their videos like weeks before the direct.
yeah,
like you're telling me that Nintendo DMCA's people and they do all this copyright infringement. They do all these crazy NDAs. They send they send like the ninjas after people, and you're telling me that like they just put things on their YouTube account. They're like, well, if someone gets our password or if we have a data
oops,
breach or whatever, like there's a reason why this happens to Nintendo and you don't hear it happening to like Xbox and and everyone else. Of course, like Xbox gets data leaks all the time, but that's different. I'm talking about this. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
No, I
just
think it's
it's just so
totally what I said. I think it's totally like Nintendo is known for being very forward thinking and having games finished sometimes months and months before the release date. Didn't that happen with there was some big game recently where they were like, it's done. They just are choosing not to release it for a couple of months. Can't remember what that might have been. Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know, but yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, it was Tears of the Kingdom.
yeah, people were like, "It's finished." They're just not releasing it until that date. So yeah, it's and there's a healthy medium. You also don't want to be going right up to release day making changes either. So
Well,
I don't
you
know.
yeah.
also don't need to put thing. It doesn't take that long to upload a YouTube video. It's
Mhm.
it like it just it's so dumb. Like we're talking about basic media. Like these are things that I would teach children. Like I keep in mind that anything that I have like on my cloud or just anything I have out, anything that's password protected could potentially be compromised. And how does
Right.
Nintendo not
It's
just
almost
just
like they
like
want to rely on people being afraid of how litigious they are, and
yeah
think you won't dare leak our stuff. The hubris.
yeah yeah
um,
it's it's just very silly, I think.
So
so that's
I
probably
guess
oh,
that's a
go ahead.
yeah, that's a good segue into the direct predictions.
That's where I
I'm
was going. Yep.
kind of surprised nothing has leaked yet from it. So
We've had a couple leaks though.
Yeah.
But I have some connections. Like I'm going a bit further with some of these leaks. I was
Yeah, I know.
wondering, could
I
we
saw in
go?
your notes the
Oh,
Kirby and the rainbow paintbrush, which we haven't brought up on the show. That news was from a couple of weeks ago. That's definitely coming and leaked
okay.
for sure.
All right. I'll start with that one.
Yeah.
Can we just go? Can we just go one for one? Like
yeah,
we'll just go around. We'll do one
Yeah, let's all
each, and we'll.
throw out our Nintendo Direct predictions because who knows, this thing could be dropping next week. So get it out
All
there
right.
while we're
it
still
might
ahead of the
be
curve.
dropping right now for all we
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Yeah. Kevin, you ruined mine. That's okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna
sorry.
say it. I'll say it for the listeners. We did not put this on our show at any point, but last month, Nintendo in Australia renewed a trademark, an IP for Kirby and the Rainbow Paintbrush, which and I believe that's Kirby. It's Kirby and the Rainbow Curse in America, and Rainbow Paintbrush in the European
Everywhere
other
else.
regions. Everywhere else, right?
Another
Um,
Wii U game for the Switch.
a
Oh, okay.
so a renewal of a of an IP does not mean too much, but my first prediction, I'm gonna say we're gonna get this Wii U title ported to the Nintendo Switch. Did either of you guys play this
Wow.
game?
No, I completely forgot about it. I didn't realize it's almost 10 years old.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
Crazy.
we've joked on the show. There's 1,000 Kirby games, and I've played like 6 of them. So
So is
no, this
this
wasn't one I
the,
played.
the one where you get to draw like the bridge him for
Yeah.
him to go on? Yeah.
hmm
I
Yeah.
didn't play it.
I think there was a DS version like that too. I'm gonna check that while you guys
God,
Canvas
talk.
Curse.
there's so many like DS, WiiWare, like there's so
Yeah,
many I forget about.
Kirby Canvas Curse was the other one.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
So
It didn't play normal. So
so it's kind of a lukewarm prediction. How do you guys feel? Like, I mean, does it matter that it's a Wii U game and that we're getting like 3DS and like Wii games on the Switch right now?
It might
Do you
sound
like it?
like a crazy forward prediction, but part of this makes me wonder if those rumors about the Switch 2 having dual screens is going to be a thing because maybe this is them setting up that, oh, you'll also be able to play this on the Switch too, and you'll have your second screen like the Wii U. So
Yeah.
I don't know, just in the back of my mind, it's not, I don't have anything to back that up. It's just the first thing I thought of.
I mean, to me, it's just you got another Kirby game, so he's what, the most dominant character on this system now.
Yeah, those
By
games
far.
must sell. They wouldn't they wouldn't be
So,
putting out
They,
one every week if they didn't, like it's
they do sell.
yeah.
It- like they do, like they don't sell 20 million, but they sell like 2 or 3 million, which is perfectly fine for games like this. I mean, as much as I hate not seeing other IPs being used, I mean, I'm not blaming Nintendo for what they like how they do things.
Yeah.
Sean, how about you give us where are we going next?
I'm just really hoping for Donkey Kong Country Trilogy remaster. Just something. It's been 10 years since
Yeah.
Tropical Freeze. Like, give me something. If it's just that, but the old games with the new artwork, and maybe you can use all the characters in all the games, fine. Like, I don't know. I'm very Donkey Kong deprived. So,
Yes.
I think Nintendo
I
needs to do something this direct that's like very hype worthy, because clearly they've delayed the Switch 2, and at this point we would have been getting
yeah,
Switch 2 stuff in the directs. So this is clearly going to be an altered direct from whatever the original plan was. The original plan was probably to have the February direct reveal the Switch 2 if it was coming out in September, like the original
yeah.
rumors said. But yeah, anyway, so I think they need something that's going to generate hype, because also this is what we're sending the Switch out on, basically. All the conversation
Yeah.
going forward is probably going to be out the Switch too. So obviously everyone's talked about Zelda, HD versions of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. Sure, bring them on. I hope for it just like everybody else, but it's almost not even worth talking about at this point. We've talked it to death. Um,
It's not
I
even like that would be exciting at this point. Like, if they're like, oh, it's like, yeah, great, you guys got around to it.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to drop anything crazy unexpected like a Mario Odyssey 2, because I'm pretty sure Nintendo themselves said that Tears of the Kingdom was going to be their last major release on the Switch, meaning like we're still going to make games, but you're going to get things like Princess Peach Showtime and stuff like that, like smaller scale stuff.
and,
Um,
and remasters, yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah.
remasters, yeah. So
Uh
I was going to say, my question is, do you think maybe there could be one thought I had, since there's been rumors about a Star Fox game? Could there be a low profile Star Fox release, something that's just a small on rail shooter? That would be a cool thing to have. And it would generate a little hype. Um,
I feel like Star Fox is a little bit more of a big thing than that, though.
Yeah, but they haven't been doing much with it, so I'm wondering if they'll like dip their toes in first and just release something that's on the scale of Princess Peach Showtime using the license. Like it's just a simple on-rail shooter, couple of levels, couple of branching paths, and basically a HD version of the first Star Fox game, um, and Star
Peppy and
Fox 64.
Slippy's baking challenge or something.
The other thing I would like to see is them announce the first Luigi's Mansion, since Luigi's Mansion 2 is about to come out, but probably not going to happen. It'd be interesting timing, though, if they were like, out this week, Luigi's Mansion 2, and announcing 2 months from now, Luigi's Mansion. We're going backwards.
Well, I mean, we're pretty much expecting they're going to do a little bit of a spotlight on 2, right?
yes.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
That was
Yeah,
that was in my predictions as
yeah, you're
the
up.
most likely.
What's
Yeah,
your
yeah,
next
I would say,
shot?
well, I'm saying that we won't get Luigi's Mansion because of Luigi's Mansion 2. And I think we're getting Luigi's Mansion on the next system because every game that we don't have remastered currently is going to be remastered on like the next system. So
Luigi's
something like that.
Mansion's a tough one though, because it's like I didn't know it until I played it for the first time this year. it's a very small game, and not even just in the fact that you can beat it in 5 hours, but like the titular mansion, it's not that big. You know what I mean? So they would have
Right.
to, I feel like, include some other game modes or find some other way, or just charge $40 for it, like they do with some of their remasters. But I'll tell you, I don't often say like, oh, that's not a $60 game to me. Like I usually just pay. I was trying to think of a polite way to say that. I usually just take the punishment and pay. But that's one that I draw the line and be like, no, that's not a $60 game at this point. So they'd have to
Yeah.
do something.
So I'm going to say it's not. And then I'm going to do another prediction. And last week we had the leak or the rumor that we're going to see Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D whatever at Nintendo Direct. Here's my prediction. We're recording this on June 6th, which is the first day of Summer Game Fest. I predict that the first time we see this game is at the Nintendo Direct and not at Summer Game Fest.
That's
So
fair.
I'm just adding on to what we talked about last week. Um, we could see at Summer Game Fest because it's going to be multi-platform, but there we go. Sean, what's yours?
I still think they might just do. Oh, hey, by the way, Metroid Prime 2 remaster out. I don't see why you
Yes.
wouldn't do it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, oh, hey, we didn't forget about this. You can get it after the direct.
The first one was that last June's Direct because it was similar.
It was a
Or
February direct. I just don't remember. It might
um,
have been last year. But
could
yeah, I
we
think they should just
see
do the same thing and be like, oh, here it is.
could we see 2 and 3 drop together?
I mean, it's possible. Yeah, I guess I could see that happening too.
That might be a bigger release, but uh I definitely think we're gonna have 2 and 3 at some point when we have the next system.
I think a
Yeah, just
great way to close out the presentation would be to, while we're on the subject of Metroid, just a trailer with the logo and a release date for Prime 4. That way,
uh,
technically it wouldn't be doing any Switch 2 news, which they said we're not talking about Switch 2. They don't even have to show what systems it's going to be on, so people could speculate on the internet. And if it just said, it showed like Prime 4 November 2025 or something like that, that would be fantastic.
yeah, just another hey, you thought we forgot about this, but we didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, just a name and a title or like a graphic, like anything's going to break the internet at this point. Uh, we're just waiting for just acknowledgement.
Yeah.
It's like
Is this game
hey
still in development? Did it start over a
we
third
didn't
time?
forget. See you guys later. But I you know I know Nintendo says nothing about the Switch successor. Are, is it possible we could end the presentation with them giving us a name?
It's
I know
possible.
they're saying
I don't
I
think
know
so. I believe the
I
lies I'm fed. And, and I really think they're going to stick to that. Hey, we're not talking about it yet. Uh,
would you be
stance.
surprised? Would you be surprised though?
I would be, yeah, because because of how much they've twice now, because they put out another tweet recently where they also said there will be no Switch 2 stuff in the new Direct. So it was like
It
yesterday,
seems
I
like
think.
it kind of seems like every tweet they put out though kind of seems like they are going to say something. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's exactly what I would say if I was releasing a new. It's like, yeah, we're not going to talk about it. No, I'm with you. I just think I just think, I just think everything's in play.
I think
Um
to me that says they have a plan for where they're going to reveal it, and it's not this direct. It's like, I don't know if there's going to be like a surprise direct, like that's not at a normal time, like maybe a month after this one, or if there's going to be like something. It seems like obviously they already know how they're going to do it, and this is not how they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anything's possible, I guess, but I can kind of see where you're both at on it, where, yeah, they could drop it, or they could just be like, no, let's just focus on games and not get people, excited or confused over when that's coming. So,
Yeah, and I think
Nintendo
they want
will.
the spotlight to be on the Switch for its final legs
yeah.
here, and they don't want to distract from it at all. This is like the last time they're going to be like, all right, it's all about Switch, and then next time we'll distract you.
Right. Right. I think this is, hey, thanks for making this so successful. Here's a bunch of games.
I can't believe this is the last one. Like
And
this
one
is
more
gonna
thing.
be it. It's just yeah. Um, what are your guys' Switch Online predictions? Because we're gonna see something Switch Online.
I keep predicting it all the time. TurboGrafx 16 is like the only thing that the Wii Virtual Console had that we still don't have. So I'm still hoping at some point to get a TurboGrafx 16 channel. I don't know what tier that would fall under. Probably the basic tier. I don't know. Um, and I'll shout out Pokemon Red and Blue since everyone keeps asking for it.
I just like them to update the Sega channel.
Mhm.
It's like they put it out there and they're like, all right, it's on there. Like, I don't know, it feels forgotten to me. There's got to be more Sega games.
I think a possible like banger, a possible like big thing we could see are more N64 releases. Like, what if we got like a rare collection? You know, we got
Oh,
like
okay.
perfect. We got like Perfect Dark.
Like whatever they're missing from them. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
people have been
I think.
demanding Diddy Kong Racing now for a while. That would be huge.
Yeah, right. And like thinking about how big GoldenEye was when they released, like when they announced it. I think
Mhm.
if you announced like three N64 rare titles coming to Switch Online, I think that would just be. I think that would be huge. But
Yeah, I
we're
agree.
kind of N64. We're kind of running out, so I'm gonna go more of the Game Boy Advanced route because there's still a lot of games left, and I'll stick with rare. What if we got Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and 3?
I mean, that'd be
Something like
great
that.
because I've never played them, so I'd be happy with that. It'd be something. So
So yeah, but if you look, yeah, in 64, you're kind of like there's only so many more they could release on the system before it's like it's kind of you're kind of scraping
yeah,
the bottom at that point.
yeah, and like I said, I don't know. They should add more Sega stuff because at this point, there's so many other Sega games that they could be putting on there. You know, so
Yes. Sean, you're next.
so it's not going to happen. But I'd still like Dark Souls 2 and 3 to get ported to Switch, but it's not going to happen.
Oh, well, so we don't have Dark Souls 2 on Switch.
No,
No.
I thought by now they would have at least done that because I'm weird and I prefer remastered on Switch because it's locked at 30 frames a second. The 60 frames on the other formats is just it's too much for me. And that's kind of my preferred way to play the Dark Souls games at least. So I don't know.
Right.
I'd like to be able to finish the other two, but it maybe it's the next system. I don't know. Maybe Switch can't quite handle 3. 2 I would think it could do, but
With the rumors of this new Switch possibly having some pretty good hardware, Elden Ring? I mean, could it be possible? Like, could we see Elden Ring on a Switch successor?
I think if you get the right team to port it, yeah.
God, that would be
It's
awesome.
gonna be, yeah, because there's a PS4 version, so yes. I think it's possible. to do it, depending on the specs on the next Switch.
God, that'd be awesome.
Especially with the DLC coming this month, so then you could have like a complete edition on Switch 2. So yeah, I don't think that's impossible.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love to just see what that would look like. I mean, of course, there's ways. I mean, I could play it on Steam Deck, of course, but like just to play it on a Nintendo console, handheld, just to see like what that would look like. It's been on my mind for a while. Like, yeah, I mean, I hear Dark Souls a lot, but like, why not Elden Ring if it's on PS4?
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Kevin, what do you have?
The last thing I can think of, and I don't know if it's necessarily going to be this direct, but why not toss it out here? It's speculation time. Um, I think within the next few years, we're going to get a console port of 3D Land. I think the internet is
Yeah,
starting to clamor for it, and I think Super Mario 3D Land is coming sooner rather than later.
yeah, I could see that.
That would be a big announcement.
Because 3D
Yeah.
World sold so well, it's almost crazy they haven't done it yet. Like I mean, I know Nintendo doesn't really ever do what you expect them to do. But like you know what I'm saying? Like the 3D World sold so well and you already have another game that you could just throw on there and be like, if you liked World, this is the same thing. So, yeah, I think 3D Land is coming.
You're right. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good take.
I have a couple small ones I'll share. I think we'll see more Zelda Legos at this one. I think we're going to see some Switch Lite variants or different colors that will be available in the holiday season. And I wanted to ask you, could we see another special edition Switch before it all goes away? I'm predicting no. I'm betting no. But perhaps like they could do like a Peach Switch OLED or a Luigi one. How cool would that be, Like a something like that?
Yeah, I could see maybe doing a Peach Showtime, bundle edition OLED. That would make sense.
Yeah, make it like pink or like black and pink or something.
Yeah, I think
Um
that would work really good. Or put those little, I don't know what they're called because I only played the demo, but the little guys, you could put them on the dock.
right. So, yeah, I don't know, but I think we're gonna see some things talked about that will be available in the holiday season. Possibly the return of Nintendo Selects. I don't know if that's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
coming back or not. We've kind of speculated on here that it will. Um, and I think my last one. Oh, last one, of course. Last prediction: if we do not see Wind Waker Twilight Princess at this presentation, it's over.
I agree.
We'll see it on we'll see it on the Switch successor, but if we don't see it now, it's not coming to Switch. That's my prediction.
I could totally see Nintendo feel like, yes, I'm aware they've brought so much of the Wii U over to the Switch, but I could totally see them having the perspective on those games that, no, we remastered them. They're good enough on the Wii U, and there's not much we would do to improve upon them on the Switch, so we're not bringing them over. I could totally see them having that point of view. I don't know how likely it is, but they do things like that, you know?
Well, to get to my final that I at least want to bring up, I could see it's the end of the Switch. So now you can customize the menus in the background and everything. We didn't want to
It's the
roll
blue.
that out right away.
It,
So,
it's the Bluetooth situation just all over
yeah.
again.
Yep.
And
'Cause that's
yeah.
how they do. So I could completely see them doing that now.
Listeners, leave us your predictions. Leave us a comment down below. What do you think? What day do you think that the Nintendo Direct is going to be? And I'll stop talking because I can't talk right now.
Good enough. So Now that's as good a time as any to segue into Nintendo's biggest mistake tournament. If you're just tuning into the podcast for the first time, we have been battling it out here every week. We've been going over Nintendo's biggest mistakes in a 1v1 tournament. And this week, the two facing off against each other are some heavy hitters, to say the least. We've got the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie versus the Virtual Boy, as which was a bigger mistake. And quick summation of both before we get into it. The Super Mario Brothers movie came out in 1993, cost 48 million to make, only earned 38 million at a time where a successful Mario movie should have been bringing in 200 million. So that's the bullet points on that one. Virtual Boy, it's the project that caused the creator of the Game & Watching Game Boy to retire out of shame and spent 4 years in development until Nintendo basically cried uncle and said, we need to release what we've got. This thing's been taking forever and lots of money. Only 14 games total were made for the thing. Poor sales. I think we all know the Virtual Boy's kind of infamous. I don't think we need to go into too many facts there. I think we can just talk about which one do we think is the bigger mistake. Who wants to start?
So I know you guys have been waiting for this because I kind of defend both of these things. I've thought for a very long time, and kind of here's my final say. I think that the Virtual Boy is a bigger mistake than the Mario Brothers movie because I think more good came from the Mario Brothers movie failing than the Virtual Boy, which ended someone's career, is something that Nintendo just continues to sweep under the rug because they've never, there's never been a virtual console release of the games. There's never been like a collection. They haven't put them on Switch. It's just like a dead zone. They don't want anyone to remember. And I'm not saying the Mario Brothers movie is good. Like it's ridiculous and insane, and I don't know how on earth it even happened. But what I think the positive from it is it at least opened up the possibility of doing video game movies. Because without that, you wouldn't have gotten Double Dragon, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all that stuff leading up to, the animated Mario Brothers movie. But I also think
I learned recently, quick tangent, sorry. I learned recently we almost got a Metroid movie. Did you know that? Like a little bit after Mario Brothers, basically they were going to make a Metroid movie, but the filmmakers were talking to Nintendo to develop the movie, and they were basically like, okay, who is Samus as a character? And because Nintendo put story last, they had no idea. And so the movie never got made. They were like, I don't know, she's a bounty hunter. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there.
well,
Sorry.
and that's that leads perfectly in. I think the fact it failed made Nintendo step back and be more protective of their stuff, which is good. I realize it means it's taken forever to get a proper Mario Brothers movie and then whatever the Zelda movie is going to be. But I think because it didn't do well, because like I said, I don't know. I would love to see a documentary about I know some of the making of that movie, but like, what was the pitch? Like, how did they get them to say yes? And then was Nintendo like, oh, can you send us some footage? And they're sending stuff, and it's like no one was going, whoa, what are you guys doing? Like, this is like Blade Runner with Super Mario Brothers, and I don't understand what you're doing. But I think that's the positive, is it led to studios at least being like, hey, not that Double Dragon's a great movie, but here's something that's easy to make a movie about. And then, obviously we're at the point now where the people who grew up playing the games are making the movies. So there's a little more quality, but I just feel like I can't put that over the Virtual Boy failing because, again, like you said, the guy retired. Like, that's how bad it did that he just was like, nope, I'm done. And again, I know video game preservation's not great anyway, but Nintendo just, they won't release that stuff. And I get some of it, they don't have like the rights probably, but I think if you did a Virtual Boy collection with, I don't know, half the games, a little more than half the games, it probably would sell because I can't see playing it on a TV or handheld being, as bad as it's attached to your face. Like, so I don't think you're gonna get
So
necessarily the same headaches and things, but I don't know. It's just that to me, Mario Tennis
I
started on Virtual Boy, right? So I think that's the only franchise that came of it.
Yeah.
right. But
Technically, Wario World, or Wario Land,
right.
the first Wario Land, but they act like that one didn't exist.
Yeah, but I mean
So
that
I
that's what I have to say on it. But I'm going with the Virtual Boy.
I totally agree with everything everything that you said. Um, is that true? I mean, is the influence of the Mario movie true? I mean, like, is there like did anyone? And I'm asking because I don't know the history behind this movie that well. Did anyone like? Was it like just the first video game movie, and then more video
Yeah,
game movies came after?
yeah,
Was that the
yeah.
influence?
It's
Okay.
started with that, and then you got all the wacky '90s movies, and then my favorite. They're really bad but entertaining. Resident Evils. I know they're nothing like the games, but you get those. So, like I said, I think it just took time for people who grew up playing the stuff to be in the industry making it now. So now things are starting to lean to be a little more accurate to the source material. But
Yeah,
yeah,
before
That's
Mario
reasonable.
Brothers, I think they didn't even know how to do video games in a movie, and like we had things like The Wizard, which came out a few
yeah.
like
Which
4 years
wait,
before, but
we're
Hey,
not we're
video
not
games are
saying
in it. So
we're not saying the Mario Brothers movie is an example of how you put video games into a movie, right?
no, 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 no.
well, no, but
No,
I'm
I'm
just
no.
saying like
saying,
they hadn't. That was like I don't even think Hollywood had even considered yet. Hey, we could try to adapt the video game
yeah,
into its
yeah,
own movie. I think they were just like, well, games don't really have a story, but people like games, so let's make a movie about how people like games. Like
yeah.
I don't think they really considered making the game itself into a movie until then.
I think the Mario Brothers movie not getting it right paved the way so Sonic could get it right. Like those are decent
Mario
movies,
jumped
and
so Sonic could run.
yeah. I
There's
mean,
Very,
something
very
there.
fast.
did you ever think you'd get a Sonic movie with Keanu Reeves and Jim Carrey in it together? Like
I still don't
that's
believe we did.
Ye-
that's
ye-
crazy, but
yeah, we eventually got there. So you mentioned Wario, you mentioned Mario Tennis. Did did Virtual Boy have any real significance? I mean, VR is finally getting more popular, but the tech is slowly creeping up to where it needs to be. And this is back in 1995. Wait, 19 when was Virtual Boy?
yeah, yeah, it was
94?
95.
95.
So
And
It
then just talking about what followed Nintendo after that, did Virtual Boy have any significance? Go ahead.
I think it did. There's like they don't want to admit that these things happen, but I brought up Wario Land a second ago. There's stuff in Mario Wonder that is clearly taken from
oh,
different
yeah.
like the Wario Land games, and they've used it in a few other things in between those two things. But like there was definitely like gameplay innovation going on there. Um, I I agree with Sean for different reasons. Like my pick is also
Okay.
the Virtual Boy this week. I agree with everything he said, but also another thing that I think is worth keeping in perspective is, yeah, the Mario Brothers movie was a huge failure, and it caused Nintendo to not make another movie for like 30 years. But it's a movie. Nintendo makes video games, so bottom
Mm,
line, the Virtual Boy hit him where it hurts. Like the Virtual Boy hit him at home. You know what I mean? That it was a failure of the thing that they were mostly focused on, and not just something they were licensing their characters out for. So the Mario Brothers movie hurt the movie studio more than it hurt Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Well,
I
yeah,
think
because
the
Disney wants
Virtual
you to
Boy
forget
obviously
about
hurt
that.
Nintendo specifically. So,
Yeah.
It's still weird to me. I know that some independent company did some big super duper 30th anniversary Blu-ray of it, but Disney like tries to make you forget that it exists. I thought that would have been the perfect time last year to be like, "Hey, here's the original Mario Brothers movie. You know, it's on Disney Plus. Here's the super duper Blu-ray. Blah 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 blah." But even Disney's just like, "Yeah, we don't want you to remember that."
yeah, the Virtual Boy reportedly had worldwide sales of less than 800,000 units. So
That's
that's
insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
less than. Go ahead.
And in America, it was less than 200,000. So it was like in America, it was like it was pretty rare. Like it was like if you had one like in your town, you might have been like
Man, I
one of
wish
the
I
only
kept mine.
ones.
I wish I kept mine too.
It was like I don't know. Everyone wants to complain about the colors. I think something worth mentioning here that I saw in my research is that when it was in development, they did dabble in a full color display, but it would have been ridiculously expensive. It would have cost like $1,000 in today's money, adjusting for inflation, like over 500 at the time. And yeah, they had a full color display, but the reason they didn't go with it besides cost is also they said that for some reason in full color, the 3D effect didn't give as much depth. The black and the red contrasting, I guess, gives you a better like feeling of it being a deeper image. So I don't know. Interesting
The,
stuff.
the thing that's crazy to me about the Virtual Boy 2 is how fast it came and disappeared.
A year, less than a year. It was released in July of 95 and discontinued in December of 95 in Japan. So it's like 6 months less.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's very similar. It's very similar to the conversation with the disk drive because like 95 that's like a really big year because you have like Super Nintendo, like N64 is about to take off, and like if Virtual Boy, it would have been impossible because the technology just wasn't there. But if it would have
right.
released in 1993, maybe it's a little bit different. Like maybe we're talking about it just slightly differently. But the timing similar to the disk drive, it it probably couldn't have been worse.
And I very often
Overall.
wonder what would have happened if the Virtual Boy had been allowed to live a little longer because there's YouTube videos you can find. People have been fascinated with this thing over the years, and you can find still images and stuff of stuff that was in development that never even got finished. And there
Mm.
were a lot of cool ideas for games. Like there was one that was basically like a first person game where you were like walking through hallways and stuff. And that one, I don't remember what it was called, but it never got finished. And that would have been really cool in the virtual headset. Um,
Yeah.
and keep in mind, this is like Harrison just said, pre Nintendo 64. So we didn't even have like a golden eye yet to compare it to.
Speaking of which, how many games 14 released in North America? How many of them took advantage of the quote unquote VR experience? I know there was that there's a boxing game, right?
Arrow
Uh,
Boxer. Yep. That one's really good.
yeah, Wario Land did because that's where that jumping between the background and the foreground thing
Well,
in
I don't think
Wonder.
he means 3D. I think he means like you virtually being like it being
Oh,
virtual reality. You know what I mean? Because Tarot Boxer is a first person perspective. Um, Red Alert kind
yeah.
of does, but it's wireframe. So you can do a cockpit view, but it's
Not
wireframe.
as many games as you thought would. They kind of focused more on the perspective thing than it
Yeah.
being
Yeah, it was
like
more
you're
of a
there.
3D boy than a virtual.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And maybe I'm not. Uh, I just want to bring up the topic because it's called the Virtual Boy. Like, I mean, do we call it the 3D Boy and
I
then it's
think it was
better? But
just the very 90s. It sounds futuristic. So,
exactly, and it looks futuristic, and I can see how the idea of like virtual reality at the time.
yeah.
Again, it's something that we are very much still figuring things out. In
So I guess
in very many
we're uh,
ways.
we're all in agreement. It sounds like that. As much of a failure as the Mario movie was, it still has a cultural significance in comparison to Virtual Boy.
Well, I just think
The,
it
the,
hurt
the,
Nintendo the least is of the two options is how I look at these. Like which one was a bigger blow to Nintendo's bottom line? And clearly the Virtual Boy was. Like they basically were like, "All right, we got this Nintendo 64 thing. It's almost ready to go. Like come on, like release it. Release it now." According to again uh the guy who developed it, I'm blanking on his name now. He didn't want it released. Even he was like, it's not ready yet.
What does he know?
yeah, it's very similar. Let's see where it comes up later because it's moving on. Did any of you guys rank your controller? Because I asked you guys where does the Virtual Boy controller rank among Nintendo controllers?
It
Well,
was
that's sort
pretty.
of a weird question too, because like, do you consider it a handheld or not? And then are you comparing it to like Game Boys and stuff?
It was
I would rank it with the console controllers, even though they tried marketing it as a portable system.
yeah. I think that it's
It's a
slightly
controller.
slightly better than the original Xbox controller, but not by much.
It
Um,
had those funky back buttons, didn't it? Like it
I
has
think
those
Yeah.
like
it's low on the list. I would rank it above the Wiimote. I would put it in my bottom three, though. The NES controller, even though I'll probably catch flack for this, the original NES controller, not that good and not that responsive. So your memory of it is not as good as it actually was. I just want people to know that. The original NES controller, especially the D-pad, not good. So that's down there. The Virtual Boy controllers down there, and the Wii remote are probably my bottom three Nintendo controllers.
Yeah, I'd put it below the GameCube controller because I know I'm weird and wasn't a fan of that, but I don't know.
How dare you?
It was just kind of awkward to use.
I'm I'm not a huge fan of it either, but it is nice when you're playing like Smash or something. Like it is nice for certain
Well,
games.
it's a
It
better controller than
it
the Virtual
it
Boy.
does it does confuse my old mind a little bit though.
That's
Using
fair.
it now, like where is X and where is Y? Just being honest, like it does trip me up a little bit. Like I have enough difficulty switching between like different
Oh yeah.
consoles. Yeah. uh,
So
so
what?
it moves on, and are we previewing next week? What's next week?
Next week, let me scroll on up here so it moves on. Is so the Labo one? No, Labo didn't win. The Sony PlayStation one, correct?
Yes.
So
Oh yeah.
the
Yep.
Sony PlayStation fiasco is going to be versing motion controls. Going to be a lot of Wii U discussions next week.
All right. Cool. So you ready
I
for
I
some?
honestly don't. I don't know which one wins. This is like the first
I
time I
don't
don't
know.
know. Yeah, this
That's going to
like
be a big back and forth. I think.
I've guessed each one correctly so far. I don't know which one is gonna win next week. Okay.
Who's going to win Killer Instinct?
Exactly. So this week we are shining a spotlight on Killer Instinct for the Super Nintendo, which came out August 30th, 1995 for the home console. It was in arcades a bit before that. So very late release for the Super Nintendo also, which is probably why this game looks so good.
Yep.
Um, it's a 2.5D fighting game developed by Rare, published by Nintendo, manufactured by Midway, and yeah, it was in arcades in 94, ported to Super Nintendo and Game Boy also, which is not on the Virtual Console. The game's plot involves an all-powerful corporation basically organizing a fighting tournament.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had like a comic book series for a little bit too. The main thing that sets this apart from other fighting games, in my opinion, is instead of 3 rounds, each player has 2 life bars, and the fight
Right.
just kind of continues.
Yeah. I
Um,
liked that. That was kind of cool.
it was a good innovation. And this game, last note I have here is it's been on multiple best game slash best fighting game slash best Super Nintendo game of all time lists. Ranked as high as 19 on Screw Attack's best Super Nintendo games.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Screw Attack. Okay. All right. The one part I really want to say because it's important to me. This was the first game collaborated by Grammy Norgate and Robert Beanland. Actually, this is the first game they ever did for Rare. So they composed the soundtrack for Killer Instinct, which I think the soundtrack for this game is great. Together, they would go on to produce also Jet Force Gemini and GoldenEye. So there you go. As
You also
far
got
as like, you know,
Kenneth Lobb involved, famous for being the guy they named the Clob after in GoldenEye.
right. You know, GoldenEye has to be one of the most iconic video game soundtracks. And if you just like go through their kind of like rare like resume, Norgate uh did the soundtrack for Donkey Kong Land, Blast Corps, Perfect Dark, Time Splitters 1 and 2. Beanland did Conker's Bad Fur Day, Star Fox, Saber Wolf, Viva Pinata, modern games like Sea of Thieves, Battletoads. I mean, the list goes on, and they're still working on games today. So, I mean, this is the first one. I mean, GoldenEye. That's all I
This
wanted
is
to say.
the,
You
the
know,
first game I remember them making a big deal about you could get the soundtrack for it. Like that was part of the selling point was if you bought the game you'd get the soundtrack and that was so weird when I was a kid, but it's such a
really,
cool thing now to me. I'm like, "Oh man, yeah. It's
like
you know,
like like cassette. Like you get like a
no, it was a
cassette of it.
CD. You'd get a
Oh,
CD. It had the skeleton guy on it, but I remember that was a huge selling point. I remember see that Kevin usually remembers the magazine stuff, but I remember seeing ads for Killer Instinct constantly in magazines that year. So yeah, I mean, oddly not a game I really played back then. I think one of the people in the neighborhood had it, and I borrowed it once. But really, us playing it's the most time I've spent with it, and I do like the health bar thing. And the reason I think I didn't play a lot of it is because this game is so combo like heavy,
so
and I am
much.
terrible at trying to like do combos.
Well, they did
So
kind
I
of innovate the combo system in that it's not a traditional combo system where you have to actually do the
yeah,
combos. They have
yeah,
like preloaded combinations that if you basically start it, the game finishes it for you. So it's a help. But I've said on here a million times, I am not good at fighting games. I'm not good at beat 'em ups. I wasn't good at this. I still
no, I
enjoyed
I
it,
got
but like I don't know.
I got 3 fights in. I tried it with everybody, and the full gore, the guy on the cover, the cyborgy guy, was the only one I was kind of good with. But
yeah.
no, I,
I
I do not
feel
have the skills to actually beat Killer Instinct.
did anyone else find the characters, and I don't know what it is about Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat that makes the characters so iconic and stand out so much. I felt like just like nothing for any of these characters for a game that's held in such high regard.
Oh, I disagree. I think
Oh,
that's a
I
great,
disagree.
Okay.
great cast. The 10 fighters. Like the only
I
one
mean,
that felt lazy to me was TJ Combo because they were just like, well, hey, what if we just combined Balrog and Jax? That's all I
oh
did.
yeah, yeah. It's so like I think that one feels kind of typical. And Kevin, I mean, I can't disagree with like feelings because like if you don't connect with them, it doesn't mean that it's not diverse. I mean, because that's what stood out to me. It's like, yeah, you have
Well, yeah, it wasn't like a
Bolvar.
diversity thing. It was just more of, I think, like a backstory thing. And I don't know what it is about the Super Nintendo, about the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat characters that make them, to me, just like instantly like I get this guy, I know what he's about. Um, and these characters where I'm like, these are all kind of just interchangeable fighters to me. I'm glad
How do you
what's up?
how do you not understand Spinal? We all have a skeleton inside us.
Hey, yeah, but
But that just seemed
what's Spinal's story? I know what Kevin's saying, but that's interesting, Kevin, because like me personally, I feel the opposite of like like when I went to go see the Mortal Kombat movie, I'm like these characters, whatever, but it's an awesome movie. It's fun, you know,
yeah.
but I don't feel connection with those other characters the same way I don't really feel connection with Killer Instinct besides that they're I just think really cool. I mean they have a Velociraptor. You can fight
They
as a
do.
Velociraptor.
I don't
They
know.
they
To me,
have
it
a
just it feels like when they make like a fake video game for like a TV show, and that's what that Velociraptor thing feels like to me. It's like, oh, there's a, it's like they're, I don't know. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It just doesn't feel real to me.
You know how
That's fair.
cool it is that there's a werewolf and instead of kicks, he bites? Like, that's such
That's
a
so
great
cool.
idea. Like,
Yeah,
I think
yeah. I
that's
mean,
the thing is
I'm glad I'm alone on this, and that there are people that enjoy this, and clearly I'm in the minority because this is a massively popular game. It just didn't really click with me as far as the cast went. I
I think
liked the
the
I
two
just
health
my
bar thing, and I liked the combo thing.
yeah, no, I think it plays well. I mean, I certainly could see where you could get crazy good at it. I think for me with the characters and then just kind of the cheesy evil corporation being behind it, like that all like goes into my B movie horror love. So I like that everybody's kind of a monster in this game for the most part. So that was really appealing to me, and I don't know. I like the move sets because they're not just the typical. Oh, here's a projectile. Here's this. Here's that. You know. And the only thing that was weird to me is there's no like grab, and I don't know
Yeah,
of a fighting
that's
game
weird.
that doesn't have a grab. So
I
that was
kept
kind
trying
of
to get that
odd.
to work. Yeah, you're right. That's weird. And I
But
don't
I
know.
think
I think what it is like when I play Mortal Kombat, I feel like I'm playing the Mortal Kombat tournament, and when I play this, I feel like I'm playing a video game. That's another way I can kind of say it.
yeah, I can see what you're saying with it. And again, I mean, this was not anything. This was more I knew of it at the time, but it wasn't. You know, we were either playing Street Fighter or Smash Brothers or whatever. So because I thought Killer Instinct Gold was just a souped up Super Nintendo version, and
And
I
you
didn't
know what?
realize.
I also wonder if part of it is like because there were so many Mortal Kombat Street Fighter knockoffs at the time that if I've just built up my defenses and like refused to accept any of the others as real, you know?
Well, this is one of like I never owned Killer Instinct, so like I had Clay Fighter, and I really love the art style to that. And Rare to me, their SNES stuff is great art style, and I think like Harrison said, this is one of the most unique rosters of fighters in a game. And one of the things I appreciated is it's just 10 fighters. It's not some insane number, like so if you find the one or two you're good with, cool. But no, I this is one I'd like to play with somebody else, like online or in person, just to see. Because I don't know, it just seems like it might be fun, even though I'm terrible at it.
It does seem fun, and I'm just constantly amazed. I was amazed back then. I'm amazed now, especially considering that this game was such a hit in arcades. Just how good, how much time it would take to commit to this game to actually become
Mhm.
good at one character, let alone all of these characters. The different charges and auto doubles. There's just so much to learn, and this is definitely one of the games that we've played where I've really enjoyed going through uh like the old pamphlet, the old, like, the guide that comes with
Oh,
the
the
game to
instructions, yeah.
try to learn to try to actually learn some of these moves, because without it you can definitely win, but I'm more or less just accidentally doing auto doubles if I'm not looking up,
Yeah.
what I'm doing. This game sold, so 94. It's so interesting. 94 is the same year as Virtua Fighter, Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat 2, and just like so many other fighting games. Despite that, this game sold 1 million copies within its first year of release.
Which is
Even though,
impressive.
yeah, even though all these other iconic huge games came out the exact same year, it still sold 1 million copies and sold over 3 million overall, to this day. And it's very interesting. 94, if you look across the regions, I mean, it's dominated by platformers, fighting
Mhm.
games, sports games. It's a lot of games that are short and meant to be played with other people. And that's really what was dominating at the time. Just very, very different than where we are now. And lastly, Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6 in Japan sold 2.5 million copies in 8 months, making it the only game in Japan to sell more than 1 million. 2.5 million in Japan in I
That's a
mean,
lot.
it, Final Fantasy in Japan, I can't believe, looking at the numbers, how big that was. I mean, that's a lot of households at the
I mean,
time.
1 million, that's a lot of Killer Instinct, so that's not too shabby. So I'm curious
Yeah.
where it ranks, because I really enjoyed it, but you won't think I did from my ranking. So
Yeah, I'll go
Um.
first since I'm clearly the party pooper here. I put it down at which is still, I want to just say this is still above the line of decent games. It's right at about the line of like I probably wouldn't play this again. But I ranked it at 42. It's right below F-Zero X, right above Excite Bike 64. Um Still like in the the line of like these are good games but not my favorite. And then below that is where it starts to get not really liking this, and then you get into never again.
so I
hmm.
really enjoyed it, but I did put it at number 32. So we have played games that are better than it, but so that puts it below Donkey Kong Country 3 and above Fire and Ice. But like I said, this is one where I think I might actually break it out to play with people on occasion. So I enjoyed it. It's just fighting games are not really my thing, but I think it's worth checking out if you've never played it.
Yes, and since fighting games are not my thing, and Kevin, I think you're being too hard on yourself. Yeah, I put it at number 40, because we're doing preferences.
Yeah.
I can't put it above like Earthworm Jim at 32. I can't put it above Musha at 37. I can't put it above like Solomon's Key and Fire and Ice, because like those are games that I those are like genres of games that like I would actually enjoy playing. And I never go back and pick up fighting games unless I'm with someone who's like, want to play Killer Instinct? And I'm like, sure, because it's one of those games that you can try, you can pick up and try it out. You can pick a fun character and see how it goes. But beyond that, I would never go back to it because of the genre. So yeah.
Hey, we all put it
Kevin, I
above
think
Street Fighter 2 for Genesis, so that's all that matters.
Well, because
That's
this
very
one has
true.
proper controls.
Yes, it does.
All right, let's
very
find
true.
out. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's find out
I'm
what
done,
we're
Kevin.
playing next week in the old randomizer here. Ooh, this is my time to shine, gentlemen. So,
Oh,
if you've played Stardew Valley, I can do this one with no notes. I could talk for a full podcast.
I
If
know it
you've
already.
if you've
it's one of
played
two.
if you've played Stardew Valley and really like it, this is what it was inspired by. It's Harvest Moon 64. And now that I think of it, there's Harvest Moon on Super Nintendo on the service. Do you guys think we should do both?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's not a
Yeah,
lot of
let's
let's do
let's do a
both.
Harvest Moon Fest, and then you both can tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the Harvest Moons next week. I can't wait to talk about all the early days of word of mouth video game rumors, the you can bring Ares back to life in Final Fantasy VII type of stuff this game had going for it. So you can revive Ares in Harvest Moon 64.
It's a really weird crossover, but
Aerith, for those of you who want to be pedantic. So if you want to
cool.
talk to us about Harvest Moon 64 or Killer Instinct or really anything, you can leave a comment below on Spotify, leave a comment below on YouTube. You can talk to us at nintendotherapypod@gmail.com, Nintendo Therapy on X, Nintendo Therapy on Reddit, Nintendo Therapy all over the internet. And if we're not there, go there and impersonate us, ruin our reputation. And keep in mind that we are just Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. So we probably got some stuff wrong. We are human. And we'll see you all next week. Talk about some Harvest Moon. See you then.